water reservoirs, what we call vertical structures, you know. So we've actually, I've worked in all sectors of engineering.
Bridges?
Yeah, bridges, lots of bridges, for that matter also. We have done, tons of, projects, or I myself have done tons of projects in the U.S., mainly in the North Carolina area. 85, Highway 85 in the extension, I was fully involved, in the project. 485, extension around the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I was actually one of the project managers, on the project, which included about, 150 bridges. Probably about 200-mile stretch of highway, all in the North Carolina area. I've also, worked with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, as a consultant, doing dams, water reservoirs, levees, waterways, and also, working with the, National Resources Conservation Services, in the U.S., called the NRCS, also doing dams and, water reservoirs. So my expertise, have, pretty much, extended, from, roadways, to hydraulics and hydrology, and pretty much a wide spectrum of engineering, structural engineering also, for that matter. So when it comes to, some of the needs that we have in the Gambia, these are things, that I've dealt with, both myself and my partners, Mom John, and some of the other professionals, Gambian professionals for that matter, who, live in the U.S., have worked in the U.S., in construction projects. We actually have a vast experience, in all levels of engineering and construction. Not just roadway for that matter, but in this time, we want to focus on roadway because we understand that, that's one thing that Gambia needs the most. Our road sector, even though, has improved, tremendously during the time of President Jammeh, because I remember when I left Gambia, back in the 90s, it was actually, much less than what it is from a quality standpoint and, just an extensive, roadway network standpoint also. So tremendous development has taken place, and we are quite impressed with that. We feel like, we just need to come in and add our own little portion to improve the quality.
Well, let me ask the question, why now? Because you've been talking about experience probably spreading over several years.
Right.
Why now?
Well, to be honest, His Excellency, the Ambassador, Mr. Jammeh, has been talking to me about coming home.
You mean the Gambian ambassador to
Qatar?
Qatar?
Yeah, he's been talking to me about coming home, for quite some time. But, it actually never really dawned on me to see the need that we needed to come home. But after hearing...
the need certainly was there. The need was there.
Yeah,
it was all too apparent.
Absolutely. But to be honest, man, those of us, living on, the other side of the wall, it's hard for us to see that sometimes. And having heard the president, pleading to government professionals living outside the Gambia, really actually make me want to think about, some of the things that I can possibly help with. And when I first came back to the Gambia after 14 years, earlier this year, it actually, broke my heart to see some of the things that are, really happening from a construction standpoint, especially on the roadway sector. And I'm hearing the president plead with Gambian, professionals. It actually, really sensitized a sense of guilt in me. And when I returned to the U.S., I really couldn't stay. I stayed in the Gambia for 10 days, and went back to the U.S. I've actually had to pack my bags, and say, look.
You're a bit emotional.
I was very emotional about it, because, to me, it actually pretty much told me that I had work that I needed to do, and I left undone for so many years. It actually really spawned a sense of patriotism in me that I never had before. I'm just being very honest to you about it. It really made me feel like, as a Gambian, I had a role to play, that I needed to play, and I was not playing. That made me pack my bags. I only stayed in the U.S. for 6 weeks and came back. And all I was doing was just, looking around, observing, talking to the right people, asking questions, trying to find out what were the issues, trying to see what areas could I really come in and help. And it was a pretty much a foregone conclusion that I needed to come back and help start a construction company that's going to be Gambian owned, retaining the revenues that are being spent in the construction sector or the roadway sector for that matter here in the Gambia. As you clearly outlined at the beginning, most of the money that's being spent on roadway construction is being pretty much taken outside the country because there are no Gambian owned quote-unquote major roadway construction companies. So what I did was, went back, mobilized my resources, pretty much, talk to, all the individuals that I needed to talk to, get the team that I needed to have in place in order to be able to come back and participate in the sector.
Gambian owned?
This company is 100% Gambian owned. Yeah, and as a result, that's why we decided to choose a local name, First Jump.
First Jump.
No, we all know, First Jump, determination, in Wolof.
Absolute seriousness.
Exactly, seriousness. And that's actually, that's been the backbone of our success, both educationally and professionally. For the simple fact that, being outside the Gambia, nothing was easy for us. You pretty much, had to be very determined, to say this is what I wanted to do for myself and get out there and try to do it. And all of us that are involved, in this company, that's what we have done. And even taking the initiative to say we're coming back to the Gambia, it's pretty much just a determination to say, we want to do right. We want to do what's best for our country. We can stay outside the Gambia and make all the money we want to make. But reality is, who notices that? Reality is, who are we helping?
How big are you? The company as such.
I'll let you guys do the evaluation on that. All I can pretty much say
the
is
newspaper reports.
Right. We are infusing
of a $50 million.
Absolutely.
Starting capital.
If infusing a $50 million investment into this company, to start, get it off the ground, get everything that we need in place to start executing projects in the Gambia. And pretty much, we are set in place. And, towards the end of this month, you're going to start, seeing, equipment arriving in the Gambia. We have already identified, our office space, already identified, our yard, which is going to be our storage facility for all the equipment that's being mobilized to the Gambia. So, from a capital standpoint, yes, we do, we have infused, a lot of capital into, this company, and we are ready to execute.
Probably there are major construction projects in the offing?
We are actually talking to the Ministry of Infrastructure and also the Department of, the NRA, regarding some of the potential, potential projects that we can actually tap into, to get started right away. The reality is, we are ready to start. We are ready to start. It's not a question of, we need to wait, we are ready to start. So, we actually,
you need to be given the project before you start anything.
Well, that's true. We need to.
You must have explored the opportunities, the possibilities, and all those things.
Absolutely.
You must have done your feasibility study on the ground.
Absolutely. We have done. Quite.
Is the environment really?
The environment, is very conducive.
It's conducive.
The reality is, there are projects out there that, the country needs to execute.